It's hard to imagine the drama surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois could get any more intense, but here we are. From accusations of misusing public funds to claims of voter suppression, fiery public meetings, and even eviction battles, Henyard has kept the spotlight on herself. Whether seen as a determined leader defying the odds or a controversial figure whose unchecked ambition is causing chaos, one thing is clear. She's not backing down. And neither are her critics. But it's getting better. She's rising fast. And she's pretty. Now back to Henyard's hashtag Queen Mayor Tiffany Henyard, Herstuck, Queen Mayor Vodvotven, Wastenage. Unconsciously, Yodel so demanvase exists. Unconsciously or otherwise, Henyard's on wildfire soats, glasses of highs in the air. Let's begin with the latest bombshell, Henyard's blatant defiance of a judge's orders and her bold declaration that she's unfazed by the legal and procedural challenges against her. This comes from a woman who, despite being surrounded by mounting scandals, has managed to hold on to her position and even announced her run for re-election. That's right, she's doubling down. Her confidence, or perhaps sheer bravado, has left many in the community stunned. But what's fueling this chaos? Let's break it down. The judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making certain appointments without approval. Henyard's troubles escalated earlier this month when she was denied a spot on the ballot for the upcoming Thornton Township supervisor election. The reason? Her slate of candidates was incomplete. She didn't have a certified assessor, which is a requirement to run. Unsurprisingly, Henyard didn't take the news quietly. During the caucus, she accused her political rivals, including Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris, of rigging the process against her. In a fiery outburst, she called the entire process illegal and vowed to sue everyone involved, shouting, "You didn't run any of this the right way," while directing her anger at Harris, who also serves as the Democratic Party committeeman for Thornton Township. Harris rejected Henyard's accusations, maintaining that the caucus process was entirely legal. He explained that while caucuses may be unfamiliar to some residents of Thornton Township due to their infrequent use, they are a long-standing tradition in other townships across the state. Critics, however, argue that Harris deliberately chose the caucus system over a primary election to block Henyard's re-election. Henyard, on the other hand, sees it differently, suggesting that if her opponents truly believed they could defeat her, they would have opted for a primary. She criticized the process, calling it unfair and exclusionary. The caucus, held at the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium, was marked by chaos. With only 600 seats available, many of Henyard's supporters were left stranded outside in the freezing cold. Some of her backers, including those who arrived late on township buses, were forced to wait in long lines that stretched around the block. Henyard claims this was a deliberate effort to suppress her voters, alleging that attendees were led in at an intentionally slow pace to prevent her supporters from participating. After her loss, Henyard voiced her frustration at a rally, condemning the conditions her supporters endured. Her boyfriend Kamal Woods also expressed anger, accusing a local reporter of misrepresenting the events and challenging her to report the truth. RS and his team have been quick to refute Henyard's claims. His attorney, Burton Delson, emphasized that the caucus process was fair and followed the established rules. "This is the process that's been in place long before I got involved," Delson stated. "I'm simply exercising my role as committeeman to hold the caucus." He also noted that the rules were made available in advance, though Henyard's camp disputes this. Despite her loss, Henyard isn't backing down. She has already signaled her intent to run as a write-in candidate, with her supporters believing she still has a chance. "I think enough people know her name to write her in, and I believe we can still win," said Keith Price, one of Henyard's allies. However, with her name off the Democratic ballot for the first time in years, it's clear she's facing an uphill battle. Meanwhile, Henyard's legal troubles extend beyond the Thornton Township caucus. She's also embroiled in a messy eviction dispute with her landlord, who claims Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, haven't paid rent in months. According to the landlord, Henyard owes thousands in unpaid rent and even changed the locks on the property to prevent access. Once a friend of Henyard, the landlord has now filed eviction papers, but attempts to serve them have been unsuccessful. As mayor, you'd think they'd uphold positive standards, the landlord remarked, but instead they act like they can do whatever they want. This eviction drama is just one of many scandals shadowing Henyard's tenure. Earlier this year, the FBI launched an investigation into her administration, focusing on allegations of extravagant spending and misuse of public funds. Reports indicate Henyard spent tens of thousands of public dollars on questionable expenses, including luxury travel, lavish dinners, and a concert that cost over $85,000. One particularly shocking revelation was her spending spree on Amazon, where she reportedly racked up over $43,000 in purchases in a single month. Critics have also taken issue with Henyard's leadership style, describing her as abrasive and dismissive of her colleagues. During a recent village board meeting, she declared, "I'm the leader. They want to hear from the mayor, not the trustees that don't do nothing." This fiery rhetoric has only deepened the divide within Dalton's government, with trustees openly challenging her authority and accusing her of mismanagement. Trustee Brittany Norwood, one of Henyard's most vocal critics, remarked, "I feel as if I'm in a dictatorship. The way she talks to the trustees, it's like being in a mentally abusive relationship." What's even more concerning is Henyard's apparent disregard for the long-term consequences of her decisions. By appointing unqualified individuals like Burge to critical roles, she not only jeopardizes the effectiveness of Dalton's police department, but also exposes the town to potential legal liabilities. Imagine the fallout if the department mishandles a critical situation due to leadership that lacks proper qualifications, warned critics. Quote, "I hope the majority of you will be happy with how commons get resolved," unquote. But imagine the fallout if the department mishandles the critical situation due to leadership that lacks proper qualifications, warned critics. Burge, Warrant Yards Compton. Imagine the fallout if the department mishandles a critical situation due to leadership that lacks sportive supervision. Provision does detrimentally affect the report of supervision's upshot is dangerous, life-threatening. The consequences could be catastrophic, not just for Henyard's administration, but for Dalton's residents who are already grappling with high crime rates and financial instability. This pattern of controversial appointments extends beyond Burge. Critics have pointed out that Henyard frequently selects individuals with questionable backgrounds or close personal ties, raising concerns about nepotism and favoritism. For example, former police chief Louis Lacey, one of Henyard's appointees, was recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud. Lacey's financial misconduct and his ties to Henyard have only added fuel to the fire, with some accusing her of surrounding herself with loyalists who prioritize allegiance to her over their duties to the public. These decisions have left many residents questioning whether Henyard is truly acting in the town's best interest or simply consolidating power, unquote. Question mark. Despite mounting criticism, Henyard remains defiant, positioning herself as a victim of political attacks and claiming that her opponents are conspiring against her. "Why is all this attention on Tiffany Henyard?" she asked during a recent Facebook Live session. "What are they doing that they don't want us to know about while they're distracting us over here?" Though she has even hinted at launching a podcast to tell her side of the story, though no further details have been released. Fans and critics alike have weighed in on the ongoing drama. "I thought she was going to prison for stealing millions," one commenter wrote, referencing the investigations into her financial dealings. "She didn't even need to, Another frustrated resident criticized Henyard's leadership, adding to the growing chorus of dissatisfaction. "Tiff has mental problems and needs to check." She is very unstable. Lord, please get her out of that seat and stop giving her control. These comments highlight the deep division within the community over Henyard's tenure. Let's not overlook the appointment of Ronald Burge as Dalton's interim police chief, a decision that has only fueled the ongoing chaos. Burge, whose law enforcement certification is inactive, was appointed by Henyard despite warnings from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. The board explicitly stated that Burge cannot serve in any law enforcement capacity until he completes requalification. Nevertheless, Henyard has stood by her choice. Trustees have taken legal action to block Burge's appointment, calling it unlawful and a blatant disregard for proper governance. Henyard, however, dismissed the criticism, labeling it a politically motivated effort to undermine her leadership and tarnish her reputation. During a recent meeting, she reiterated this stance. Critics argue that appointing an unqualified police chief is part of a larger pattern in Henyard's leadership, where loyalty is prioritized over competence. One trustee raised concerns about Burge's inability to carry a firearm and questioned his ability to lead the entire police department. This sentiment is echoed by many in Dalton, as the town faces yet another leadership crisis, with legal battles mounting, an ongoing FBI investigation, and growing public frustration. Henyard's future as both mayor and township supervisor looks increasingly uncertain. Despite these challenges, she remains defiant. At a recent rally, Henyard expressed confidence in her continued support, claiming that her widespread popularity in Thornton Township motivates her to press on. County Court has reversed some of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's decisions. At last night's village board meeting, Henyard announced a 30-day temporary appointment. Is Tiffany Henyard a misunderstood leader battling a corrupt system, or a politician whose ambition has led her astray? With each new development in this saga, Dalton residents and the rest of us are left wondering what's next. Any other ideas, sweet? Will Henyard's resilience carry her through, or will the weight of her controversies finally take her down? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more updates on this ever-evolving story.